Here we have a system where big money has taken over, and the government is going to represent the robber barons and screw over regular people. And they don't talk about that. They don't talk about the negative impact on democracy. They don't talk about how your voice doesn't matter anymore. They don't talk about how they're coming to cut Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid and the social safety net and the elements of it that help regular people. They just talk about it like it's a game. They talk about it like it's a reality show. No, America is on the ropes right now, bro. America is on the ropes.
We're on the ropes, and government does represent the robber barons, the elite, the Illuminati, etc., but that's business as usual. America has pretty much been ruled by the rich and powerful, although a few dynamic pores popped into power here and there. People have been so brainwashed by American propaganda, they think this country has always really cared about the rule of law, equity, justice, and whatever else. This doesn't mean we shouldn't want change or that we should accept the corruption in our system, but we can't pretend this corruption just happened because of Trump. The biggest difference between Trump and his predecessors are that they conducted empire with a superficial civility, whereas Trump is completely mask off. He represents the true nature of what goes on in America and how America views the world as a bunch of territories that must bend the knee before the might of the empire. He says the quiet part out loud. Some people hate him for it, others love him for it. While I understand Kyle's distaste for Trump and much of what Trump says he wants to do, I don't find the prospect of Trump to be outside of the norm for America aside from decorum. The substance is basically the same, or along the same evolutionary path. Every other U.S. president I can think of, especially in modern times, has acted in unlawful ways. Every U.S. president I can think of has benefited from corruption, taken part in corruption, and or allowed corruption. A couple years into Trump's first term, I realized Trump is not an anomaly. He's just a pig without the lipstick. We were literally just ruled by Genocide Joe, and before Trump's first term in office, we had Obama, who solidified Bush's police state apparatus and conducted all kinds of extrajudicial killings overseas. Bush, of course, invaded Iraq for no reason and killed over 1 million people. Anyways, I just wanted to touch on some issues Kyle raised regarding what Trump said at his inauguration.
By the way, the robber barons literally had better seats than his own cabinet. Let me repeat that. The robber barons, the people who gave him millions of dollars in this presidential campaign, they had better seats than his own cabinet. The oligarchy is out in the open now, bro. It is just out in the open.
The robber barons had better seats than his own cabinet. That's interesting because the robber barons and their ilk are usually on every president's cabinet or in every president's ear. Democrat or Republican, it's business as usual to cater to the elite and ultra-wealthy in the United States. Trump is brazen about it and non-apologetic, but functionally he's pretty much the same as the crooks who came before him. The oligarchs been done ran through America for a long time, Mr. Kyle.
Trump's own MAGA supporters who came to DC from across the country, they were literally left out in the freezing cold as the oligarchs and the robber barons got a front row seat.
That's not remotely surprising. Trump's MAGA supporters do not care about that at all. They're on a totally different wave and don't give a rat's ass that Trump ditched them for them high society folks, because they know President Trump's a rich man, a strong man, a great man, and he's got a hobnob with all them important rich Americans. True MAGAs would gladly bathe Trump's swollen feet covered in bunions and riddled with bone spurs with a touch of gout. Yeah, they'd wash them feet and gladly drink the bath water afterwards to purify their souls. Kyle, they don't care about this.
I mean, Miriam Adelson had one of the best seats in the House. And by the way, that's what $100 million to Trump gets you. It got Trump to let Israel officially annex the Golan Heights, which is Syrian territory. It's going to get Trump to greenlight the West Bank being Israeli territory. They're going to steal that from Palestinians as well. And also it gives Miriam Adelson a front row seat. So there's a lot of stuff to get to.
Kyle, Israel is way beyond the Golan Heights. In case you haven't heard, they went deep into Syria now. They have also been conducting a genocide, so they're already in endgame, and Genocide Joe gave them the green light. Kyle mentions Adelson paying for the annexation of the West Bank. Every single U.S. president has let Israel run a cruel and twisted apartheid regime, but no president besides Genocide Joe gave them the okay to run absolutely wild for over a year in every way imaginable. The destruction has been out of this world for all of the international community to see. Kamala Harris had the same attitude about it as Genocide Joe, as does the Democratic Party. Trump may be bad, but who's better? The American government has given zero indication it will help the Palestinian people and has given every single indication that counts. It does not consider them to be people worthy of any dignity or freedom. The American government, political parties, etc., has given no indication it will do anything truly positive or peaceful in the region. The Israeli government has made life for the Palestinians in the West Bank a living hell that you can't even begin to comprehend. You think it's a stretch that any random American president would let them annex the West Bank after Genocide Joe let them run wild for over a year? They're completely giddy, all up in Syria, and now they're thirsting heavy for some West Bank action and some all-out endgame. Who was going to stop that again?
The golden age of America starts now. I will put America first. So the reason why this, of course, is rich is that literally 2 days ago, Trump did a meme coin crypto scam on his own supporters. He just did it. And now he's out there saying, I'll always put America first, and the golden age starts now.
I don't understand why that's noteworthy. Trump always says stuff like that. He's been scamming his supporters for years. They don't care. And speaking of crypto scams, I can't say I care much for people who get scammed by crypto. The fact of the matter is that people are allowed to make crypto. They're allowed to sell crypto. They're not allowed to scam people, but it's very easy to do. Price manipulation on crypto behind the scenes, especially with these little crypto releases, and people should know all of this, so I really don't care about this, and believe me, Trump supporters would gladly lose their life savings to Trump crypto. They love that kind of shit, if only to be cosmically connected to Trump forever by losing all their liquid assets, and possibly losing everything by leveraging everything up to their surplus blood platelets.
This line was sort of chilling. He said, quote, I was saved by God to make America great again. Anytime you start sprinkling in the religious talk, that's always like, I am not comfortable with this at all, because some of the worst atrocities in human history have been committed by people who are claiming all along, well, God's on my side. I'm the chosen one. You know how many horrific mass murderers and horrible dictators through the years have said, I've been chosen by God?
Anyone who believes in God would not find it remotely unusual that a person who came that close to being assassinated would say God saved them, or that they believe God saved them for a reason. Whether Trump actually believes in God is anyone's guess, but I don't think you can automatically tie this to him thinking he's the chosen one from some kind of religious context. If he thinks he's the chosen one, it's probably from a New York City crony capitalist standpoint. I also don't think it's accurate to pin the bulk of historic atrocities on religion in general as opposed to the underlying politics in any given circumstance and the general destructive nature of mankind. For example, as much as Israel claims to be operating based on religion, I don't think that's accurate, and I wouldn't cite their military actions as an example of atrocities being committed because of religion. All wars are given justifications, but that doesn't prove the true reasoning behind why something happened. History provides endless examples of atrocities committed in the absence of religious framing. I don't think Trump's statements about God in relation to what happened to him would really trouble anyone except hardcore atheists. I don't think low-key atheists would read that much into his statement about God saving him for a reason.
Terrifying here, he's going to designate the drug cartels as terrorist groups. The whole point of him doing this is so that he can do war with Mexico without going through Congress.
I have no idea where Kyle came up with this. U.S. presidents for many decades have had the authority and have in fact ordered countless military strikes all over the world without going through Congress, and have started wars without the approval of Congress, even though Congress is supposed to hold the sole authority to declare war. Designating the Mexican cartel as a terrorist organization was done for political and operational reasons, but not as a means to facilitate attacking anyone, as the U.S. government has allowed the president to attack any country at any time if they say it was necessary because of emergency circumstances. Regardless, it would be hard to argue that Mexican cartels do not meet the definition of terrorist organizations. But if Trump wants to go into Mexico with drones or special forces and attack the cartel, similar to how the U.S. goes into countries all over the world constantly to conduct extrajudicial killings, it could present much bigger problems considering Mexico is literally on our southern border. Things would probably get extremely ugly if Trump doesn't want to coordinate activities with the Mexican government.
We're going to drill, baby, drill. He's going to sign a bunch of executive orders to open up more federal lands for oil drilling.
Yeah, his drill, baby, drill thing is insane. Rather than figuring out new clean ways of harnessing energy, he wants to do more drilling and fracking. Unfortunately, there's no real leadership in America to create clean, economical, and plentiful energy production that our nation desperately needs. Directives for electric cars do not solve this problem because you're still not addressing energy production to fuel the electric vehicles or the pollution caused by electric vehicle battery production and disposal.
LA is on fire. Like basically all of downtown LA is on fire, and it's a smoldering ash heap because of climate change fueled fires.
Just a little correction here. Downtown LA is not on fire and is not a smoldering ash heap, at least at the time of making this video.
Like, we are living in fucking late stage capitalist end times. That's what we're witnessing right now.
At the very least, I think we're witnessing the U.S. empire on the verge of getting wrecked in every conceivable way unless we figure out how to achieve things without using military force. But that doesn't look likely unless some miracle technologies emerge.
Trump went on to say the thing that triggers me probably the most of all of the Trump one-liners, which is that he's the free speech president and he's going to bring free speech back. And as you all know, because I've told you 150 times, this is a guy who literally has the worst record on free speech.
Kyle goes into talking about how Trump sued a bunch of people for things they said about him. Look, everyone knows when Trump talks about free speech, he's not talking about allowing college students to protest against Israel's actions against the Palestinians, or against U.S. military actions, police activities, or whatever else Trump doesn't care about. Unfortunately, prominent Democrats also don't care about free speech. People want to be free to say what they want to say, but want to be free to silence everyone else. That's free speech in America.
Now you have this guy who has no more guardrails. There are no more reasonable voices in the room that say, sir, don't do that. Sir, that's actually not acceptable. Sir, that's not okay. Now he's surrounded by sycophants and loyalists who want to let him get away with whatever the hell he wants to get away with. Nobody's going to tell him no. So he's going to violate the law on a regular basis. He's going to color outside the lines endlessly. He's going to shit on the Constitution endlessly.
The guardrails are supposed to be the system outside of the president or any individual part of the government. Obviously, the president is the single most powerful person within the U.S. government as provided by the Constitution, actions of Congress for over 50 years, and the many rulings of the Supreme Court regarding the powers of the executive branch. I understand what Kyle is saying here, but there's really no answer for this outside of how the other parts of the government respond to Trump. The system should be judged on how it functions as a whole, and based on recent history, we see that Republicans won't hold Trump accountable. Democrats did not hold Trump accountable by applying the rule of law as soon as the Biden administration took power, and the Supreme Court will most likely allow a fair amount of Trump's activities. It's the reality we live in. Kyle goes on to say that this will be corruption on steroids. I would say the American empire is corruption on steroids, and Trump is just a byproduct of it. The system wants to eat itself until an adequate pain threshold has been met to cause reform born out of raw pain and rage. Apparently, as much as people are hurting, they can take it a bit longer.